Well, welcome back. We're going to pick up where we left off last Friday relative to the shooter, Micah Johnson, in Dallas, who shot 5 police officers. And sure enough, what we suspected is true. There is a communist undertone within all of this activity. We know that Micah Johnson was a member of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club. Now, you can go to their website and you will discover that they're relatively militant, and it's sort of like they have propaganda like, here are the firecrackers and here are the matches, but don't use them, kind of a flavor. And you will see that there's an awful lot of the use of the clenched fist salute and that kind of thing. This is a picture of one of the leaders in the Huey P. Newton Gun Club using the clenched fist salute. And you will see online now pictures of Micah Johnson appearing where he gives the clenched fist salute. Now, that is not a Black Panther salute. Now, a lot of people think that's what it is, and the Black Panthers do use it. But this is the communist salute. It doesn't matter whether it's Russia, Ukraine, China, Cuba, Hezbollah, Hamas, or whoever uses it. It's the communist salute. Now, if you had a bunch of skinheads on the streets of America going like this, what would you think that is? A white power salute? Are you kidding me? This is the Nazi salute. So why can we understand that this is the Nazi salute when skinheads and white power people use it, but we can't seem to get it across to people that this is the communist salute? Any organization that uses this, by the way, all the way from Bernie Sanders, and around the world, when they use that salute, it is the communist salute. All of these organizations' antecedents are in communism. It's the way it is. And it is an old, at least within the last 70 years, a program of the communists out of Moscow, under Joseph Stalin, that's the guy who started it, to divide the United States into several sections, to make the United States weak. It's the old divide and conquer technique. You see the division in race. You see the division in religion, where they're dividing people against one another, and even within religions. Look what they're doing in the Muslim world, for instance, of dividing themselves even there and warring against one another, getting Christians that you're not my church and you're not mine, and other things like you're black and I'm white, or you're brown and I'm red, and so on and so forth. It's the divide and conquer technique. And the big overall picture is one that has been, like I said, instituted by Joseph Stalin out of Moscow. Here's a very recent website that shows some of these Black Panthers standing there giving the communist salute. And it says, new Black Panther leader. He says this: blacks need to migrate to 5 southern states, form country within a country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what they wanted to do, and Stalin instigated again, was to divide what they called the Black Belt of the South into a separate country. And they called it the Negro Soviet Republic. That's what they were trying to do. A lot of people didn't know anything about this, but this was part of the civil rights movement. And it's all there, it's all documentable. We did it over and over and over again to show people what the real plan of civil rights was back in those days. It was used as a tug at the heartstrings, if you will, to make the black citizens equal in many ways, which is, nobody can argue with that. But the underlying current through it all was to get them to form a separate nation in the South and break away from the United States. And that's what was going on, and they formed the Black Panther Party, they formed RAM, the Revolutionary Party, and a number of things like that to bring about that end. In the Southwest, it was something else. It was Athlon and that sort of thing. So divide and conquer. Divide between the races, divide between the religions, and even divide the states of the United States up into separate nations, so that we could not be a united states. We would be a divided states, and they could come in and literally take over. Now, there's a lot on that you can find in our archives on the johnbirchsociety.org site. It's well documented, and we got enough people to finally understand what was going on to slow it all down. But it's always been under the surface, and now it's starting to break out again. And whether or not you believe that communism exists or not, all you have to do is look around now that you've been told and take a look for all the signs that tell you that communism is very much alive on the streets of America. One of the things I pointed out is they're not only in the streets, they've also come into the city governments in many, many areas around the country and are openly bragging about it in their own publications. And so the police are right in between those two pincers, if you will. And so they've got a problem in the streets, but they also have a problem with their own local government hamstringing them. Look what happened in Ferguson and in Baltimore and places like that where their own city governments wouldn't allow them to take care of the problem before it got out of hand. And so it got out of hand. And people were bussed in, and a lot of these people were paid for by George Soros to come in and burn down these neighborhoods. Do you honestly think for a moment that the local youth in a black community wants to burn down their own homes, burn down their stores where they get their beer and their smokes? I don't think so. These things are done by outsiders. Now, do locals get involved in looting? Yeah, some of them do. They get caught up in the moment, if you will. But the violence is started by outsiders. And these outsiders are communists. And you wonder about the divisions in religion and everything else. Here is off the website of one of these leaders of the new Black Panther Party. And on his website, he's got a picture of Jesus Christ in the middle of a toilet. That's kind of a clue as to what's going on here. These are haters. It isn't just Whitey they hate. They hate Jesus Christ. They hate America. And they want to substitute all this with communism. A party, a movement of hatred. A movement that kills people by the millions. A movement that can't stand to see peace and harmony and progress in a community. And you don't have to go very far to find this. Now, there have been some criticism of me using the term communist, that they don't listen to me after I use that word. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you're not being taught in the schools as to what's going on. I know I was in the schools myself. I realized once I got out of school that there were a lot of things that was missing from my education. And I set about to find out the answers to some very important questions. Why was communism gaining around the world and nobody in the United States seemed to care, or at least not enough somebodies? Eventually that changed. But at any rate, the point is this. If you can't recognize what's going on today, then you've got to ask yourself, why don't you recognize it? Maybe your education isn't what you thought it was. I suggest you go into the archival work that we've posted on the John Birch Society site and look up some of the things that are right in front of your eyes that you don't see because you've never been taught to really look in those directions. It's time. It's time to wake up. It's time to get involved. And it's time to love your neighbor. And don't allow these things to happen in the streets in your neighborhood. Do everything you can to quell violence, to quell hatred of the police, of each other, and so on and so forth. Join our Support Your Local Police Committees. That's a good place to start. Join the John Birch Society and find out what's really going on, and then start to do something about it. Until next week, one of us will see you then.